Hello, I'm the basic average Twit, and Alex Jones recently is going through a trial right now, and his attorney is saying that he's a performance artist, which is getting a lot of heat from a lot of people that follow Alex Jones, acting like he is now a fake or a phony, and what he's referring to from everything I can see. And I don't love everything Alex Jones does. I see sometimes he gets so emotional that it just kind of turns me off, and he yells too much and it kind of turns me off. But you can see that Alex Jones clearly is going for a meme type status. Some of the stuff he says, he knows he sounds ridiculous, and he knows he's so amped up. He also knows that brings attention to his show. Now, I've watched in the past, and he doesn't mention it as much, but I know back around that 2010 and 2012 time frame, I watched a lot of different Alex Jones live shows, and he would mention he's just, doing all that, getting emotional and yelling intentionally to get people's attention, to wake people up. And he knows that people go chop it up and make a clip and put it on YouTube, and it gets him even more attention. So he's fully aware that when he's even acting over the top, that it is an act. 100%. It is an act to him. Now, does he believe what he's saying? Yes, he believes what he's saying. Is that him acting to scream at you and yell at you and wake you up? Yes. He's even mentioned specifically certain public radio and whatnot, NPR, where they're just lulling you to sleep. He's said this 100 times. They're lulling you to sleep, and he's like just to shake you up. And that's what he's doing. It's funny to me that Alex Jones and his crew at InfoWars come up with his top 10 characters he plays. But he could even do better than that, because he's clearly mentioned on live broadcast that, hey, I'm yelling, I'm screaming about Bieber. Some of that stuff where it comes from, the Bieber stuff. He's mentioned right after that there's just an act, and he was trying to get the attention because he was doing that. He knows when he's yelling and getting upset and frantic that he's bringing attention to himself intentionally. And that's all the attorney was saying. Whether you like Alex Jones or not, I mean, some people think that people see him as a buffoon, so anything that does bring attention to him actually lowers, and it lowers the chance of anybody taking that information seriously. So let's say you are a libertarian and you want smaller government. Well, you have Alex Jones who wants smaller government, but he dabbles in a lot of conspiracy theory stuff. And so then he yells and he gets upset and excited. And then so libertarians are like, that's the type of libertarian we're not, And so they don't like it so much. I actually like it because it's unique. He yells in your face. And then when you're pissed at him, which is, by the way, that's how I feel like I like Alex Jones a lot. I don't agree with everything he says. And I think sometimes he's embellished so much so that it isn't actually true, some of the stuff that he says. But when he challenges you and yells at you, then you go and you start investigating some of the stuff he says, you realize that he is right, though. There's stuff that he's 100% right on. And whether he is right on the entire point that he's trying to make on something, it might not be true, but it seems well-intentioned, usually. And although well-intentioned doesn't mean that something's true, but oh yeah, you heard something with the child custody case, right. So it's not a normal trial. It's not like a jury trial. It's family court. And so when you look for custody in family court, there's different rules and stuff like that. And I don't understand all of that. I've never been in that court. I've had friends that have gone through it, so I only understand parts of it. But and I've been on a jury before, but I know it's different. Family court's different from like a jury court. And so there's a lot of lawyers talking and the judge hearing all this information. Then they got to decide who gets custody. And usually, unless the mother is really poor or doesn't take care of the kids and the kids want nothing to do with her, it's probably going to be split 50-50. I just can't imagine. Unless his ex, who I don't even know, I don't know anything about her. She could be a wonderful woman, but she could be terrible. She could be on drugs. She could be crazy. The kids could hate her. Who knows? And then that's the only way I'd see she'd get no custody. But not to seem insane to the judge. Well, the thing is that he's not. He should say that regardless, because he's clearly playing a character. He's mentioned it before on his show. And the only thing that's weird about that is that in the recent videos where he's apologizing or trying to explain why his lawyer said that, I don't understand why he didn't just show the clips where after he screams about Bieber for 10 minutes, where he says, I play that up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I know it's a meme. And so I don't know why he didn't bring that up. Instead he goes and shows his obvious things where he's clearly playing characters. But he's always yelling like that and screaming, and then he's done. And that's his whole shtick. I mean, it's always been a shtick. If I thought, honestly, that he was like a mental nut and he's always screaming whatever, well, there's clearly videotape of him behaving rationally. If he's protesting or cameras in front of his face, so then all of a sudden he's flamboyantly aggressive, and I guess flamboyantly is another way to describe something that's maybe gay, but he's like really there's not a lot though to really discuss. This was going to be a quick thing, and I'm just going to throw it on the channel. But other than that, I feel like Alex Jones is really, he is himself. And if you didn't like Alex Jones, would you really honestly think that he didn't believe what he said? You know he believes what he says. You know he believes what he says. So you would probably still go, well, come on. You still believe that. I think if the argument is that, you shouldn't like Alex Jones, he's 100% fake. Well, then aren't you kind of saying that then if you thought he was crazy, then aren't you kind of saying that he's actually normal in your mind? And then what are you doing? Then that's sort of weird. So if you don't like Alex Jones and you're saying he's crazy for all these years, now you're saying, no, he's actually normal. I agree. He must have been lying that entire time. That's insane. Alex Jones does believe what he says. Trust me. He does stuff and goes over the top, but he for sure believes what he says. And he's already said he believes what he says. I can't imagine you go back in the court and go, no, I believe none of that. I just lied to my audience, because that's going to be public knowledge, or will come out in public statements here at some point, I'm sure. Even if they lock down the trial, nothing's supposed to get out. Something will get out about that. But to me, Alex Jones is he had to figure out a way to get in and make a show popular. And I think at first, he by the way, he's always believed that the globalism, stuff like that, but I think he always went around the fringe area and just at least talked about conspiracy theories about that. But he had to have a shtick that got over, and the gravelly voice with him smoking was one thing, and then him getting upset and yelling was his other thing, because in his earlier days, although he could get excited, he was not a yelling, screaming maniac, which he is now. So he knows that there's a shtick. Well, he might, it could be true. I mean, there's people that work with him that say he gets upset and stuff too. I don't think that, I'm sure like any human, he gets upset. I just don't think that he's sitting there screaming out about Justin Bieber and getting all angry and talking about goblins, and he knows on radio screaming about goblins and stuff like that, and Hillary's a demon, all that sort of stuff. He knows at that level that it's phony or an act, at least to gain attention. He doesn't like Hillary Clinton, no kidding. And he is Christian, so he would say ridiculous shit about demons and God and all that sort of stuff, or at least that's ridiculous to me. That honestly thinking that a human's a demon, but that part's the shtick. Does he get upset? I think he does probably fly off a little bit, but you don't ever see him just like screaming at somebody. So people in his office, if you've ever watched his show, people in his office do make mistakes. I don't hear him like screaming at them. So like he's screaming at the globalist. He's screaming. So when he's looking at you in the camera, he's screaming at the globalist. So you can see how mad he is, and he can't take it anymore. And he's got the documents, and you just don't listen. And anybody that does a fake Alex, it just sounds so pathetic because he does have some passion for that. What he knows what he's doing, and I can't even fake it. I could not, even if I even actually hated something or somebody, I could not put that much energy into what I hate. I would need acting classes. And he's been in movies, so he knows how to play that up in front of the camera. And that's what I think he's done. But other than that, there's not a lot to really talk about this subject. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I don't think that Alex Jones does not believe what he says. I think he believes 100% what he says. I think he 100% embellishes for the audience to maintain and get meme status. Meaning he does it because he knows people cut it up, because they think he's crazy, and it brings attention to the show. Just like if you know H3H3 Productions, he sits there and highlights how fat he is and looks gross, and people look at his show and come to it because they see something like that. Meme status. And other than that, I'm going to get going, and I have to get going to my regular job because a job where only 3 people watch is nothing. All right.